You are tapped in with Caden. On February 1st, 2025, David Benavidez will be facing David Morrell, two young undefeated champions facing each other in the prime of their careers. We say we want to see the best fighting the best. Well, this is what is happening. Well, today at a media workout, they had a face-off that turned physical. We're going to take a look at the altercation as well as the fireworks from the press conference, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this amazing fight, which you can see on Prime, Amazon Prime pay-per-view on February 1st, 2025. Now, let's take a look at this. He got pushed. And then David Morrell threw his belt at David Benavidez, and you see people in the ring getting in between them. They're holding back David Morrell. They're holding back David Benavidez. All right, let me turn this volume down because I don't know how it's merging and mixing together. But you can see David Benavidez is upset. He's being held back. David Morrell's being held back. David Benavidez is upset. David Morrell's upset. Benavidez pushed David Morrell, and David Morrell threw his WBA interim or secondary title at David Benavidez. And you can see that they both are heated. They're both passionate about this fight, and they flat out don't like each other, which is a recipe for a very good fight because you know that both fighters want to win badly. Well, we got to find out a little bit more about what led to all this at the press conference when they were speaking. And here's what David Morrell had to say. Now, he changed clothes, but David Benavidez is still wearing the same clothes during the press conference. Here it is.
In California, this guy.
Oh yeah, this video appears courtesy of Fight Hub TV. Subscribe to Fight Hub TV.
Not respect me. I'm not respect back. So no me respetó en California, so no tengo por qué. Él empezó como que, diciendo que si era personal, que si me iba a romper la boca, que si iba a hacer esto, que si iba a hacer lo otro. Pues entonces, si lo quieres llevar a lo personal, vamos a verlo a lo personal, ¿me entiendes? Yo en California fui con las más buenas intenciones y él fue el que llevó todo a este nivel. Pues vamos a seguirlo.
He's saying that at the press conference in California, he didn't respect him, and that's why he didn't respect him today. And now he doesn't want to respect him anymore, right?
His problem. You want a problem already? I don't care.
Well, what happened? What happened after the press conference? Though, when you came and shook my hand after the fucking press conference, ¿te olvidaste de eso?
¿Cómo?
When you shook my hand after the press conference, fucking stupid.
Oh, yeah,
like you didn't do that. You didn't come shake my hand. I try to keep it cool right here. This dude even wished me a happy birthday on Premier Boxing Champions on the whole page. But now he's trying to act hard, man. But whatever it is what it is. On February 1st, I'm going in there. We'll break your fucking mouth.
¿Cómo fue?
I'm gonna break your fucking mouth.
No te entiendo, dime.
Okay.
No te entiendo.
No entiendo. Bueno, vas a entender muy bien el primero. Vas a ver.
Sí,
¿qué más? Estás ahí en el pinche piso.
Sí, ¿qué más?
Tú vas a ver muy bien.
Tranquila, mira, de entrada todavía no te sabes ni a darle del 1. Después de eso, o sea, que tú me vas a ganar a quién. ¿Entiendes? Tú estás fácil. ¿Sabes por qué tú estás fácil? Porque
¿Por qué?
Aparte de decirle, te dicen Robocó. ¿Tú sabes quién es? ¿Tú sabes quién es Robocó? Tú estás fácil, papi.
This guy's saying I'm an easy fight. This guy's saying I'm an easy fight. You better go in there and do what you gotta do. When I knock you the fuck out, I don't want you to say shit.
So yeah, basically, David Morrell in his press conference, he's saying that David Benavidez is an easy fight. He called him a robot, basically said he's stiff, doesn't have good foot movement, and that he's going to take him to Cuban boxing school. We're going to jump forward to the end of the press conference where you can see the disdain and just how they flat out don't like each other. And we're going to pick it up where David Benavidez starts commenting about VADA testing, saying that he had to demand VADA testing for the fight. And then David Morrell's team goes off like, we've been trying to fight you for 3 years, but take a look right now.
Why did it take you guys so long to do the VADA test? Let's start that. Now you guys want to talk about that. We're calling you, we're calling Luis de Cubas, and you guys said, oh, next week. Okay, no, fuck that. You want to talk about that?
Okay, guys.
I had to call PBC and tell them if we didn't take the VADA test that we're going to cancel the whole fucking fight. because you guys didn't want to fucking test. Now we're drug testing. Now we're drug testing.
We wanted to fight you for the last fucking 3 years. What are you talking about?
Guys, this is it. This is it. We need to finish this. We need to finish this media workout right now.
That's it,
guys. Thank you so much for being here today. The fight will be on February 1st. The fight will be on February 1st. David, hold on. Va a ser el 1 de febrero la pelea.
All right. So you can see there that the passion is real, the anger is real, the frustration is real. But this reminds me of Caleb Plant, Benavidez. They were really going after it, and they were exchanging some heated jabs and barbs at one another. But at the end of the fight, they were very respectful and peaceful. I remember Caleb Plant saying, like, I guess we can't be friends now. And Benavidez Sr. saying, yes, we can be friends. Of course we can be friends. Like, and they end up becoming cool after that fight. The one thing I love about boxing is you can have heated buildup. You can have a lot of tension. There can be a lot of frustration, and you could even have some brawls leading up to the fight. But typically, once the fight is done, you bury the hatchet. Like, the result speaks for itself, and you can move on and let bygones be bygones. And hopefully that's what we'll end up seeing in this situation. But now we're going to take a look at what David Benavidez had to say about what happened during the face-off and what led to basically the altercation after or well during his media workout.
What happened in that face-off exactly that got you so fired up?
You know, first of all, I tried to shake his hand. You know what I mean? I try to be cool. Because last press conference, you know, we did the shit talking, but then in the middle, after, he was cordial, we were shaking hands and stuff. So, you know, I was just expecting the same thing. It's my birthday today, so I didn't really want to get too aggressive.
Yeah, gotta go get some cake later.
Keep it down, no cake. But I tried to shake his hand, kept running his fucking mouth. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna let nobody disrespect me like that. You know, especially I don't know who this guy thinks he is. He thinks he's the hardest person in the planet, so I'm gonna beat the fuck out of him, man. And there's nothing else really left to say. You know what I mean? He's a great fighter, yes, but I'm gonna make all these great fighters look average.
Hold on a second.
Move? What? Oh.
All right. Yeah. My thoughts on it is, I love it. I love the confidence from David Benavidez. I love the confidence from David Morrell. These are two guys who don't know how to lose. They're two guys who believe they can beat anyone. And that's the beauty of the sport. You're going to put these two fighters in the ring, and we know we're going to see fireworks. And that brings me to my next point. This is the type of fight that the fans can let the fighters down. They're taking the risk. Now, David Benavidez is a name who's been thrown out there for years as an opponent for Canelo. And I've stated on this channel repeatedly that what holds David Benavidez back from the Canelo fight is he is yet to prove that he can generate the interest or he can get the public to pay to see him fight in a way that would justify Canelo taking the risk. And you've seen since then, Canelo has fought Jaime Munguia. That did about 600 to 700,000 pay-per-view buys. He's fought Edgar Berlanga, which did about 650, 700,000 pay-per-view buys. No one can guarantee that if it was David Benavidez in those fights, that the numbers would have been significantly better, especially when you factor in David Benavidez fought Caleb Plant on pay-per-view, and it's been reported that he did around 50,000 pay-per-view buys. Didn't even break 100,000 pay-per-view buys. And then his fight with Demetrius Andrade on pay-per-view is rumored to have done the same 50,000 pay-per-view buys or worse. Now, also on this channel, I showed you my receipts as someone who purchased the Caleb Plant fight and the Demetrius Andrade fight. I am someone who wants to see David Benavidez get his shot at Canelo Alvarez, but I'm also someone who's mindful of how the business of boxing works. So, with all that being said, if David Benavidez turns in an impressive performance against David Morrell, and to me, he can generate around 500,000 pay-per-view buys in doing it, I think the public would be justified in demanding that Canelo Alvarez fight David Benavidez. And I, for one, like I've always done, will purchase this fight for David Benavidez. I don't know who I'm going to root for, though, because I do believe that David Morrell is a live dog, and David Morrell may beat David Benavidez. So give me a moment. I'm not saying that David Benavidez is going to win, but what I'm saying is I'm going to purchase the David Benavidez fight like I always do, so that, one, hopefully he can get the sales he needs to become an attractive opponent for Canelo Alvarez. But in addition to that, I believe that David Benavidez would have earned the fight if he beats David Morrell in impressive fashion. So there are two things he needs to do, which is, one, beat David Morrell in impressive fashion, and two, he needs the pay-per-view numbers to scream, he needs the pay-per-view numbers to be good enough to make the argument that not only am I the best opponent in terms of skill and in terms of resume, in terms of public demand, but I'm also the best fighter you can face in terms of revenue and generating money. The fact that I could pull in 500,000, heck, let's even lower it. Let's say 350,000 pay-per-view buys against David Morrell. Now imagine you and I together. We should break 1 million. He needs those type of numbers. He certainly needs well over the 50,000 pay-per-view buys he's been getting, which brings me to this point. Why, if you are someone who's been advocating for Canelo Alvarez to fight David Benavidez, you should buy the pay-per-view. Now, I notice a lot of these people who run around claiming that Canelo's ducking David Benavidez are the same ones who brag about using their fire sticks, are the same ones who encourage people to use fire sticks to watch these fights. Now, you think you're going to get the massive pay-per-view fights with someone like Canelo if you don't pay? Canelo doesn't fight for the fans who use fire sticks. Canelo fights for the fans who pull out their wallets and purchase the fights. And that's why you fire stick people aren't getting the fights you claim you want to see. This is a fight where only the public can let the fighters down if you don't buy the fight, because these guys are putting it all on the line. You don't see this nowadays. You used to see this happen back in the days. I can think of when Floyd Mayweather fought Diego Corrales. In that fight, they were both undefeated. And I remember my dad he went Chico Corrales and I went Floyd Money Mayweather. But I'll be honest, I was nervous the entire time until the fight started and Mayweather looked spectacular. And you don't really see this nowadays, but you're seeing it now. And you have to respect it. And you see these guys have genuine animosity towards each other. The tension is there between their camps, between the fighters. They're both nervous. They both know what they have at stake. And what they have at stake basically is becoming the new face of 175. You have Arthur Benavidez, who is older, 40 years old, going to have a rematch with Dimitri Bivol. You know, who knows what he's going to do. If he wins, he may walk away from the sport. Dimitri Bivol's up there. He still has more years left. So even if Dimitri Bivol loses the rematch, he's still good enough to grab another title anyway if he wants to continue boxing. But now you have these other guys in the mix. And these guys, David Benavidez and David Morrell, are so young that losing this fight, having a setback, isn't going to be the worst thing in the world. If the loser shows tremendous heart and puts up a great fight, they can still benefit with a boost from the fans and boosting their fan base if they fight the right way. So this fight is awesome. My biggest fear is that this fight won't get the respect it deserves. The fans won't pay for it. And it's going to be one of those fights where the winner accumulates a massive win, but it's not going to translate to anything because the sales aren't going to support it. And then you're going to want to call out Canelo, but Canelo's going to look at it and say, well, there's really no proof here that the fans are going to support this fighter. And I'll close by saying this. People will say stuff like, oh, well, what did Jaime Munguia sell? What did Edgar Berlanga sell? There's a difference between taking a stay busy fight and taking a fight where you know you're fighting another champion. You're fighting another warrior who's going to inflict damage. This is what I talked about, like fighting killer after killer after killer. isn't ideal, and it's not the way it's ever been done in the sport of boxing. You can check that. You can check the history books on that. You fight a killer, then you stay active 1 fight, maybe 2 fights. Then you fight another killer, then you stay active maybe 1 fight, 2 fights. What Benavidez has to prove is that he can bring in his fair share of fans to deserve the cut he's asking for against Canelo. So otherwise, Canelo can just keep cleaning up, fighting Jermell Charlos, fighting Jaime Munguias, fighting Edgar Berlangas. And I know people in the sport of boxing don't like that. But Canelo, although he's younger than Terrence Bud Crawford's been fighting professionally a lot longer than Terrence Bud Crawford. Canelo has been fighting as a professional since he was 15 years old. He's been in the game a very long time. So he's earned the right to pick his opponents the way he sees fit. And he's still not picking some easy chump opponents, although a lot of people would like to make it seem that way. Remember, he cleaned out 168 in 1 year. He unified and did more on 168 in 1 year than David Benavidez did his entire stint at 168. So before you go disrespecting Canelo, like, put things in its proper perspective. But with all of that being said, David Benavidez can earn the fight here with David Morrell. If he can have an impressive victory over David Morrell, particularly a KO or a stoppage, and he can pull in good pay-per-view numbers, I will come on this show as one who's been stating he needs to earn the fight and say, stamp it, I want to see Canelo fight David Benavidez. He's earned it. He beat someone Canelo didn't beat first. He beat someone who's legitimate. He beat someone who's hungry. He beat someone who's talented. And he proved that he can actually bring in fans and generate revenue. All he needs to do is do that. And for me, I will come on here and demand the Canelo fight, and we all can demand the Canelo fight, and then we'll see. Unless Canelo's fighting Bivol or Beterbiev or someone of that status, even a Crawford, I would allow him to fight a Crawford because I know that that's a revenue fight. That's one of the fights where people are going to hate, but money talks. But if it's not one of those opponents and it's not David Benavidez, then I would be looking at Canelo sideways. But this fight right here is massive because for David Benavidez, it can set him up nicely, but that's only if the fans do their part. So everyone who's calling Canelo a duck and then watching Benavidez fights on fire sticks, you're the problem. Buy the fight this time. It's February 1st. So, I mean, I know Valentine's Day is coming up for some of you who may be struggling with that money, but I mean, it's the new year. Some of you get your tax money. Set aside the money to buy the David Benavidez fight. And remember, if you don't have a receipt that shows that you purchased a David Benavidez fight, which only very few boxing fans do, and I'm one of them, which is why I'm president of the David Benavidez Club, only 50,000 people in the world only 49,999 other people in the world can talk to me about David Benavidez. If you're a fanboy, keyboard warrior who's never purchased a fight, shut your ass up. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the altercation between David Morrell, David Benavidez. Will you be purchasing this fight? Are you excited about this fight? Let me know. It's Caden. I'm out. Peace.